We have an NHL trade to discuss with the Toronto Maple Leafs and Vancouver Canucks, and we have the busiest day in NHL waivers yet this year with 45 players on waivers. We'll discuss all that coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have some breaking news, important stuff around the NHL here. Teams are trying to become cap compliant, and there's been a fair bit of movement, including 45 players on waivers. But first, let's get started with the news of an NHL trade between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Vancouver Canucks. The Maple Leafs have traded Sam Lafferty to Vancouver in exchange for a 2024 fifth-round selection. I think Lafferty, more than anything, was a victim of the numbers game, and his salary just made it too difficult for them to keep him in Toronto. Obviously, a lot of teams are playing cap gymnastics right now, and it just, obviously it's not that they didn't value him in Toronto, it just was too challenging, and they needed some cap relief. Somebody had to go, whether it be through waivers or through trade, and they do have a bunch of players on waivers too, but at least they're able to get an asset back. Lafferty comes in, obviously will help solidify that bottom six in Vancouver a bit. Again, another player that the Canucks management are familiar with in their time in Pittsburgh. Obviously, Lafferty was a Penguin for a while, and clearly, that trend continues with them acquiring players that they've previously coached or managed elsewhere. Now, Lafferty, like I said, will be a good addition to Vancouver. It gives Toronto some much-needed cap flexibility, and that's the trade for now. Wouldn't be shocking if before tomorrow, if there is another move or two around the league, because teams are still trying to juggle everything. At least we now know the names of players going on waivers. It's the last day of waivers before the roster selections have to be submitted tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock Eastern to be cap compliant and have everybody lined up and in place. There can be other movement. Players could be either sent back to junior, sent down to the minors that don't need waivers, or there could be trades. Players could go in LTIR, things like that. So there will be some more shuffling going around, but this will give us a good indication of where a lot of teams are at. 2 players on waivers today actually were recent waiver pickups, which is kind of confusing as well. Let's start with that. The Vegas Golden Knights have Grigory Denisenko on waivers. He was just literally picked up from Florida. That's kind of surprising that they'd pick him up one day, put him back on waivers the next. He wouldn't have even had time to do anything. They probably told him to sit tight. Obviously, if he clears, they can put him down to their minor league affiliate. The only rationale to me is that they've seen him as a good addition for their AHL club and knew that this was going to have to be part of the process to get him there. Or they just wanted to mess with Florida. I'm not sure what it would be, but we'll have to find out. Clearly, Vegas would have been near the bottom of the order, of the pecking order when it comes to the waiver selections, because it goes by last year's standings. So obviously, Denisenko went through a whole bunch of other teams without getting picked up. So I doubt he gets picked up again unless Florida decides to reclaim him, because you can do that. They would have first right of refusal here, and they can send him right to their minor league affiliate if they do that. Same goes for Ottawa defenseman, or former Ottawa defenseman, I should say, Lassie Thompson, who's with the Ducks, and he's back on waivers again. So the Sens can reclaim him and send him to their AHL team, which that wouldn't be shocking if they did that. He's a former first-round pick, and it's not that they want to get rid of him per se. I think they'd be happy and content to have him for their minor league team. But, they just couldn't have him on the NHL roster, and like many teams had to make a tough decision. Besides Lassie Thompson, the Anaheim Ducks also have Andrew Agozzino and Alex Stalock on waivers as well. The Winnipeg Jets have goaltender Colin Delia, Kyle Capobianco, a defenseman, and forward Axel Jonsson-Falaby. So many goalies on waivers today, including Delia. I would not be shocked if we get 1 or 2 goalie claims for tomorrow. The Arizona Coyotes have Zach Sanford, Travis Boyd, and Ivan Prosvetov. So some interesting options there. The Bruins have Patrick Brown and AJ Greer. The Hurricanes have defenseman Dylan Coughlin. The Blackhawks have forward Joey Anderson. The Avalanche have forward Riley Tufte. The Red Wings have Zach Aston Reese, who they just picked up as a signing. Actually, they signed him to a 1-year 2-way deal, but he will need waivers to be able to execute that 2-way portion of it. So Zach Aston Reese is a Red Wing right now. We'll see if he gets picked up. He did go through the training camp with the Carolina Hurricanes, but was released and not signed. The Edmonton Oilers today have Raphael Lavoie. That's an interesting player to keep an eye on. Lane Peterson, as well as Ben Gleason. The Panthers have John Lundberg, Casey Fitzgerald, and Zach Dalpe on waivers. The LA Kings have Jared Anderson-Dolan, another interesting younger player that I'd be curious to see could get an opportunity somewhere. Montreal has a veteran Yoel Armia on waivers, as well as Gustav Lindstrom. So Armia, I'm sure they've tried to trade him, but his contract is making that difficult right now. So we'll see if they can get him to the minor leagues. I doubt anybody picks him up because of the contract. The Ottawa Senators have Boko Imama on waivers to go down to Belleville. The Pittsburgh Penguins have Colin White. Now, of course, he's Aston Reese just signed a 1-year, 2-way deal. So if they're going to have him part of their minor league system, then he needs to go on waivers. So Colin White is available now, considering he didn't have any takers for a contract and didn't get a full-time contract anywhere. So I'd be surprised if he's picked up. Zahorna, they get Radim Zahorna on waivers as well. I thought for sure he was going to be on their opening night roster, and he still could be. You got to remember, too, with some of these moves, they are just having to get their roster submitted to be cap compliant for opening night for Monday at 5 o'clock Eastern. After that, if they have players going on LTIR or if there's any subsequent moves, then they can have players recalled in time for their game, or in some cases emergency recall or what have you. So some of these guys are just paper transactions, but we'll see here. So besides White and Zahorna, they also have Vinny Hinostroza, Mark Friedman, and goalie Magnus Hellberg. So another interesting goalie option there on the waiver wire. The St. Louis Blues have goalie Malcolm Subban, defenseman Callie Rosen, forwards Mackenzie McEachern and Nathan Walker. The Lightning have veteran defenseman Zach Bogosian. Apparently they've been trying to trade him to get him more of an opportunity somewhere else, and that hasn't worked out, so they're going to try the waiver option. Gabriel Fortier with Tampa also on waivers. The Canucks have Christian Wolanin and Jack Studnicka. That probably wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the Lafferty trade, but they had to create some space, so Lafferty will bump those guys down. Wolanin had a really good camp, actually, and I would be... I wouldn't completely rule out him getting picked up. The Maple Leafs have Dylan Gambrell, Kyle Clifford, goalie Martin Jones, William Lagesson, Max Lajoie, and Simon Benoit, all on waivers. I thought Benoit might stand a good chance to make the roster, and I think he, in some cases, may be considered the number 7D. We'll see. They also might be able to put Connor Timmins on LTI. I'm not sure if he's going to qualify for that. Then they have the Muriel LTI, so the Leafs will probably be able to do... they might be able to do some recalls after opening night. Once they're cap compliant, they do the LTI stuff. They might be able to do that. So we'll see. But that's 45 players on waivers. We know there's teams looking for goalies. Lots of options today. Like I said, you get Hellberg. You've got Jones. You've got Colin Delia in Winnipeg. Obviously, some teams didn't get their goalies on waivers. They're going to carry 3, like Montreal didn't get Caden Primo out there. I know the Red Wings as well. We're obviously holding on to their guys. They have Lyon and Reimer besides their starter in Husso. So, again, they're carrying 3 guys, trying not to lose them. So not really ideal for everybody, but it protects their assets. So we'll see what happens. Lots of interesting names. We have a trade. Like I said, it wouldn't be shocking if we have another trade or more before rosters are submitted tomorrow afternoon. So let me know your thoughts on the trade, all the waiver options, and we'll go from there. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.